Welcome to a quick and almost spoiler-free review of the Warrior Trilogy by Michael A. Stackpole. The Warrior Trilogy is one of the more famous and more important parts of the BattleTech novel canon because it's the very foundation of a metaplot timeline and the events that would eventually lead to Tukiyat and then the Fatcom Civil War. It contains, of course, 3 distinct volumes: Warrior en Garde, Warrior Riposte, and Warrior Coupé. We have here a true trilogy. That means it's one continuous story spread over these 3 volumes. Unlike, for example, the Great Death Trilogy, it is not possible to simply skip a book or just read one volume. If you decide to read the Warrior Trilogy, you will have to read all 3 books to get any idea what's happening. Inside the books, we will follow several characters who are almost all interconnected, some more, some less. But in essence, we have here the story of the Fourth Succession War and the birth of the Federated Commonwealth. The storylines contain several very different scenarios. For example, we have the confrontation between the Kell Hounds, led by Morgan Kell, and the Genyosha, headed by Yorinaga Kurita. These 2 MechWarriors are bound by destiny and honor and will have to face each other because fate demands it. Then we have, of course, the engagement, wedding, and marriage between Melissa Steiner and Hans Davian, which will lead to House Steiner Davian and the Federated Commonwealth, although not yet. Another very important storyline is the fall, banishment, and rise of Justin Xiang Allard, from a suspected traitor against the Fedzons to the consort of Candace Liao herself. That is pretty much the main story of the trilogy and a centerpiece. Besides that, we have also the different shenanigans of the houses Steiner, Liao, and Hassig Davian, and their successful and unsuccessful intrigues. It is also quite noteworthy that we will see the fall of a certain Friedrich Steiner, who will end up becoming a captive of House Kurita. You know what will happen to him if you are aware with the lore of the BattleTech universe. My favorite storyline was, not a big surprise, the multiple Comstar board meetings of the First Circuit. We can basically see the last few years of Primus Julian Tiepolo and the rise of a certain energetic presenter named Mundo Waterly. The books are well written, but it gets obnoxious how often characters are called slender. I hope that Mr. Stackpole has improved his writing in the years since, but for everyone else I have some helpful alternatives. You can also call the characters petite, athletic, slim, gaunt, lean, malnourished, firm, trained, delicate, fragile, frail, lanky, lithe, meager, skinny, and wiry. Just a little gripe of mine, because he really calls about every second character slender, and it gets quite annoying. What's also interesting is that all the main characters are very high up the social ladder. Basically, they're all either royalty, nobility, or they have access, and I mean direct access, to royalty. And it goes so far that the only character who is not a noble turns out to be the bastard of a duke. I leave a surprise which character it is to yourself to discover. There we have also one of the main problems I have with the complete, trilogy. It's well written, it's a good story so far, but it is like a telenovela about the trials and tribulations of the beautiful, rich, and powerful, like some old soap operas like Dallas and Dynasty, or such. We will not see the quarrels and problems of the small little people. We barely will see any average MechWarriors. It's really high up the social ladder. So we have high politics, we have dynasties maneuvering, and so on. And it gets a bit annoying because the author has a tendency to allow his protagonist to always win. You remember maybe from my Great Death trilogy review that I had some problems with the main character and his propensity to have Deus Ex Machina events. This is here not the case. We always know why is a character succeeding, why does something work, but it gets really annoying because at the middle of book 1 you know who are the protagonists, who are the hero characters, and they will not fail. They will have success after success after success, and it gets really tedious and annoying. It goes so far that, small spoiler, a quite likable character dies in book 3, and I was almost happy because it was finally some kind of twist. Not a big one, but at least one. Are these books still good? I think so. It's still an interesting plot, and you will not waste your time if you want to read it. But who really should read them? Basically, if you have any interest in the meta plot and the going narrative and the history of the BattleTech setting, you will not be able to get past the Warrior Trilogy, because there are so many important things in, and as I said, you will have main royalty as protagonists. If you have any interest in the FATCOM, if you have any interest in the clan invasion, if you have any interest in Comstar, you will have to take the Warrior Trilogy and read it for yourself. So, conclusion, the books have some shortcomings. I don't really like the main characters myself, but the plot is after all quite interesting, quite exciting, and it's important for the bigger context. At the end, this trilogy gets a clear recommendation. Grab it, read it, and see how this story unfolds.